up? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining me again. Check it out, it's the Dart. You guys haven't seen the Dart in a couple videos now. The last two videos I was up at Pete's place, hanging out on the dyno, checking out some big blocks. Now I'm back working on the car. The last time you guys saw it, we were re-weighing the car since we had the cage put in and everything, get a real accurate weight on the car. My racing season ended, insurance ran out, and winter hit, and I haven't really done too much with it. I've really been thinking about what my next moves with the car are and what I want to do next season. You guys know my racetrack closed down. Super bummer, but there are some positivities coming out of that. There's talks of a new track being built, and now it kind of makes me focus, and I plan to go to Vancouver to do some quarter-mile drag racing. I know you guys want to see that. I want to go do that. So that got me thinking, though, about a couple of things, transferring from a short track to a really long track, or, you know, proper sanction size track. And it got me thinking about my fuel system. So there's a couple things that I need to upgrade, a couple things I just want to upgrade. And I'm just going to go over the whole thing and make sure that it's not going to have any sort of fuel starvation problems at the top end at a quarter-mile drag strip. So that's what we're doing today. I got some new parts. I'm going to show you guys the old system, what I'm upgrading, and why I'm upgrading it. So let's get into it. And there she is. She's all jacked up right now. I guess the first thing we'll do is we'll look at the previous system and we'll go right to the back and start at the tank. So you guys know it is a stock tank car, and then I did have to massage it with the relocated diff for the Dana rear end. Okay, so here's the main thing that got me thinking about upgrading the whole system. That's actually still a stock sending unit. So it's only a 5/16 tube. And then up there we go to a 3/8 aluminum hardline that I did like 5 years ago or whatever. But this was the main thing. I needed to upgrade this. Most guys go to a 3/8, which is pretty good, but I actually scored a 1/2 inch sending unit, so I'm stoked on that. So we're gonna be upgrading that, and then we're gonna be upgrading the line as well. Let's move underneath the car and we'll show you more. So out of that sending unit goes to 3/8 aluminum hardline, goes up over that way, down here, down along the subframe connector, and then straight through that crossmember guy up into the engine compartment. Right here transfers into a -6 line. So here's that -6 line. You can see it's pulled away from the headers as best as possible. Comes over this way into my Edelbrock pump down there. And then so it's -6 into the pump, and then out of the pump we go to a -8 line, up and around, and then part of the problem here, still a -6 into the carburetor. You guys probably saw that last year when I swapped carbs, just got an adapter, so -8, -6. So it's a little hodgepodge. You can see why I want to upgrade it. And the plan is to go to the 1/2 inch sending unit, -8 line all the way, and then also a -8 carburetor feed line too, making the whole thing have a lot more volume in the system as well. And then, you know, we'll help out that mechanical pump. We are almost taxing it. They say they're good to 600 horsepower, and I've seen tests where they do support 600 horsepower, but it definitely helps to have the -8 line. So that's why we're doing the whole thing, and then that should really be sufficient for this package. And, you know, running to a -8 braided line underneath the car, I can always add an electric pump later and a regulator up here or whatever pretty easily. But the plan is to keep running that mechanical pump full -8 to the 1/2 inch sending unit, and that should be good. Oh, and I'll show you guys this too. That is a fuel filter. It's an inline -8 to -8 inline fuel filter. I've had a bunch of those different ones on there. That one, we'll take a look at it, but I'm sure it's still clean. I've never had any debris in my fuel system. My fuel tank is like really clean, and it'll be interesting to see when we pull the sock out exactly how clean it is, but I don't think we're gonna see any sort of junk or anything. So those are pretty good for my system. Okay, so let's check out these new parts. Here we go with the 1/2 inch sending unit. And I did check it with an ohm meter because they're not made in North America, so it's a good idea. But this thing looks pretty good. Nice 1/2 inch inlet, stoked on that. Over to a new Summit braided -8 inlet tube or feed line. I like these units. I did have one that leaked. I'm sure you guys saw that. But after I tightened up, no problem. So I do still like those. Good value there. Russell fitting, just some hose holders there. And then bunch of -8 hose, and then, oh, I picked up some of this. This is heat protectant I'm going to use on the engine bay, just where it runs along the header. Good idea, because the cooler you keep your fuel, you will make more power. Random fitting, and then this guy here. Okay, so this is the part that I wanted, but not really necessary, but it's a jewelry piece for sure. Wilson Manifold, 1.5" tapered spacer combo. This thing's got all the science in it. These guys are like the leading researchers in airflow technology. All they do is make power, and this thing is just so tricked out. So we'll compare it to the other one when we take it off, but this thing is just a really nice piece. It's 1.5", so 1/2 inch taller. Pop that carb up a little bit, really make it stand out, and then look at that airflow. This thing's gonna be killer. I'm stoked on this. Nice piece, and then I picked up some ARP hardware to match too, because we are going up a little bit, but Wilson Manifolds, they make really nice stuff. Okay, so I'm ready to start pulling everything apart. I got the car up a little bit higher, opened the door up in case we get any fuel, you know, get the vapors out. I did check my fuel level. It's super low, so shouldn't make too much of a mess. I'm just gonna start pulling it apart though, and then I'm gonna leave all the engine bay stuff to the end. I'll get the sending unit and the new line all the way in before I get up to the fun stuff up here. Okay, so I got that guy out, no problem. You guys saw me tap the little lock ring out with just a screwdriver. Popped out there, no problem. And then you can really notice the difference here, the 1/2 inch tube compared to the 5/16. So really glad doing this upgrade. And I noticed this gasket is looking pretty crusty too. So this was definitely due for an upgrade. It's slightly different design. The sock appears to be, I like the sock actually, but there's like no dirt on it. Everything was really clean. So no problem getting that guy out. Now we can put the new one in with a new gasket, of course. Okay, got that sending unit in there. You saw me try to use the lock ring that came with that sending unit, and it just wasn't as good as the stock one. So the stock one went back in there, and that really secured it. So just start pulling out the old line now. Got the old coffee can for the win, like no spillage. Got that old line out of there. So just about ready to start putting some new stuff in. There's that old line. And now we can just come up here and disconnect the -6 and then start plumbing it for -8. Boom. Okay, made a bit of progress here, guys. There's my -8 to 3/8 NPT into my pump, and then I actually fit my line already, cut it to length. I had to open up that hole down in the crossmember. I'm gonna pass it through there. I opened it up big enough for the sides of the new line, but not the fittings, so I'll feed it through and have it hooked up here, and then I'll have to build that end back here. And then we can fit it onto there. Okay, so what I got going on here coming out of the sending unit is a 1/2 inch hose barb to -8. And then I got some 1/2 inch hose, put it on there with a couple extra clamps to make it all good, but that's how it'll hook into the AN line. So I guess I can just start feeding it through now. Okay, so I got that all fed through, no problem. I did blow this out after I cut it, and I got my one end on. I'm just gonna make up this rest of this AN fitting, and then we should be able to plug it in back here and then pin it all the way, and then this section's done. If you're doing lots of this AN stuff, the right wrenches, soft jaws, really help. Excellent. Okay, so here's that new -8 line final install. You can see it going in there. I got her pulled right away from the headers as best I can, and then I got that heat protectant on there right into the pump. I like how that turned out. I'll go underneath here. And there it's coming through the cross member. And then I got her tagged up at a couple spots just along the subframe connector there, back up there, and then up and around the shock pickup, and then down, and that's all locked in. So that section is done. Okay, so I'm really happy with how that section went. That new center unit and the full Dash 8 line looks really good under there. And now we can focus on the fun stuff. We're gonna pull the carb off, put that new spacer on, get this into a Dash 8 line. It's really gonna set this engine off even further. I'm a big engine detail guy, so I think it's gonna look really killer. It's actually getting a little dark out though, so we'll pick this up tomorrow morning. Okay, so we're back. It's a couple days later. I got the car back down on the ground now, so now we can start looking at the feed line into the carburetor. I'm gonna do it with the carburetor still attached just because it will hold the carb for us while we're changing that feed line. And then the last thing we'll do will be the spacer. So let's go ahead and take a look at that Dash 8 feed line. Here's a little visual reference for the size difference between Dash 6 and Dash 8. You can see it's substantially bigger, so more fuel. I'll point this out too. They come with this guy here with an NPT, and I always just buy an extra one without the NPT. Just cleaner look. That's for like a fuel pressure gauge. But if you're not using it, you got to run that screw all the way in, and it actually kind of blocks the flow. So I go with just a clean one. They're like another 12 bucks, but it makes it a lot better. So let's pull this thing off and fit this new one on. Okay, so that looks way better. Dash 8 all the way down and back now. And it matches actually the intake coolant line, so that actually makes that whole motor look way better. Just realized though I hooked my fuel line back up. I just got to take that off because we're gonna pop that carb off now. Okay, so here's our two spacers. You can see the extra height we got there. And then after I got this off, I did look inside it, and it is like scalloped out, just like the other one. So this is a Wilson one. It's just an older model, but you can see it's still a little different on the inside. So this one, it's much more pronounced, comes to a real sharp point. And this guy is a little bit flatter and duller, but this was a really good unit. I'm really stoked for this guy. I'm stoked about that extra ½ inch of height too, and it just looks nice. I like those jewelry pieces. And then I'm gonna be using these ARP guys. There's a part number. You guys always hit me up for part numbers. I never give them out because honestly, I just don't look through the part numbers after I'm done with them. But there's those hardware for that taller guy. And then when I got this off too, I figured I'd show you guys that port job that I did. You guys saw that in a video a while back, but these Super Victors unported, they come way out here and really block a lot of airflow. So they're made to be ported out like that. So that's that older video. Check that out if you haven't seen it, but let's put this new unit on. Okay, so that is looking pretty killer. I had a couple little tiny issues. Because I'm running this thicker bracket, those studs are actually just a little short, so I'm running no washer on this side. It's down and be okay for like now or whatever. I am gonna order some slightly taller just for this one side. And then now with the extra height that we have out of our intake and our spacer, my cable for throttle, my throttle cable is a little too short. So I'm gonna have to redo that guy anyway. It was just tall enough for the 1-inch spacer I was running. I kind of thought that might happen. So no biggie there. New throttle cable coming, little taller studs, and then that job will be done. I got more plans for under the hood too, so do stay tuned for all of that. But this is looking way better. Oh yeah, that air cleaner on. That is looking pretty good, boys. I told y'all, I'm an engine detail guy. That's gonna close out this video, guys. Thanks a bunch for watching. No fire up today because I gotta get that cable sorted out. Weather's kind of crappy outside anyway, but we're gonna do that soon. We'll get her fired up, roll her out, maybe do a day permit kind of thing. And next season, we do got some quarter-mile drag racing coming up. I still have a couple things I wanna do under the hood here, or lack thereof. And I do need to swap my converter. I'm gonna get that converter reworked to help improve that 60-foot time. I'm actually gonna lower that stall speed a little bit. I've been reviewing old footage and I think I need to pull about 500 RPM out of it, and I think that's really gonna help us out. Stay tuned for all that coming up soon. Thanks guys, see you on the next one. So sweet.